So let me ask you a question. What do you prefer, Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich or Chick-Fil-A spicy chicken sandwich? If you're a food connoisseur like me, then you said Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich because it's exponentially better than Chick-Fil-A spicy chicken sandwich. And that's a general consensus. Everyone that I've talked to always prefers Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich over Chick-Fil-A spicy chicken sandwich. And that's even more true when it comes to social media, online presence. You hear people talking about Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich all the time. You don't hear people talking about Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich. So with that being said, how is it that Popeyes did $6.4 billion in sales last year and Chick-fil-A did almost $19 billion in sales? Chick-fil-A did more than 3x the sales of Popeyes. On top of that, Popeyes has almost 1,000 more locations than Chick-fil-A does. And on top of that, Popeyes spends exponentially more in marketing. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen a Popeyes commercial recently. When's the last time you remember seeing a Chick-fil-A commercial? So with that being said, how is it they do that? Well, I broke it down. I did some research and I broke it down. I already knew the answer before I looked it up. The reason why Chick-fil-A is 3x more successful than Popeyes is because of their culture. That's what it boils down to. It's Chick-fil-A's culture. And Chick-fil-A's culture is the customer experience. They want to make sure the customer has the best experience. And so they accomplish that with service, and they accomplish that with food quality, food consistency. They accomplish that with speed. Now that might sound simple, but it's not. Every restaurant in the world wants to give the guests the ultimate experience. They want all those things. They want the guests to get good customer service. They want the guests to get good food. They want their food to be consistent, and they want their food to be fast. Every restaurant in the world wants that. There's no restaurant in the world that doesn't want any of those four things, and they definitely want all of those four things. But the problem is a lot of restaurants have a hard time just hitting two of those four things because culture is hard to instill. First of all, culture is hard to develop. It's hard to create and develop, but then it's really hard to instill. It's like an A. It's easy to get an A. It's hard to keep it. And Chick-fil-A mastered that. Chick-fil-A did a couple of things to master this. Let me just start from the beginning. Chick-fil-A was started in 1946 by a guy named Truett Cathy, and he was a hardcore Christian. This is part of the reason why Chick-fil-A has such a strong culture, because he took his belief and his faith in Christianity and he instilled it into his company. And not saying that when you get hired, you have to be a Christian, you have to do this, you have to do that, but you do have to have a couple of moral rules, and that's including him as an owner and the management. So that created a culture where they treated their staff very well. And when you treat your staff very well, it shows in your clientele no matter what. I don't care what you say, that's just a fact. That doesn't mean you get to let your staff do whatever they want when they want, but you have to have that balance of, yes, there are rules to be followed, but you also have to respect your staff and show them some support and some love. The proof is in the numbers, because Chick-fil-A, as far as hourly employees go, has the lowest turnover rate in the United States, which is usually the highest turnover rate. They created values and they stuck with them, period. So a big problem with any business, especially one that's trying to scale, is that as soon as money or more money comes into play, as soon as you have a viable product that could grow, that could expand, companies start cutting down their values in order to make more money. It's just the way it is. 90% of businesses do this. So one thing they didn't do is they didn't expand too fast. So that kept them able to manage and control their culture much better, much more efficiently. Second thing they did was small things, like they closed on Sundays due to their religious beliefs. And to this day, they still are closed on Sundays. Now, one of the Chick-fil-A's make an average of $4.4 million, which is really high. To put it in perspective, really successful McDonald's franchise will make $1.4 million a year. Chick-fil-A's are doing 4.4 on average. So if they're doing $4.4 million a year, that means being closed one day a week is a lot of money they're leaving on the table, and they have not stopped it. They have not changed that. And I guarantee you there's been a million times where someone's tried so hard to get them to open on Sundays to make an X amount, millions a year, millions, more than millions a year. But they said no, because that's one of their values and they believe in it. They're sticking with it. That's culture. That's real culture. I believe they have 14 items on their menu, and they've had 14 items on their menu for quite some time. I want to say decades. Now, one thing to know about Chick-fil-A too is they opened up in 1946, and they have increased their sales every single year since they've been open. But again, the reason they did that was because of their culture, and their culture is instilled because they have values that they never sacrificed on. Part of that is a training process. Chick-fil-A started by only being in malls because it was really cheap and really easy to open up a restaurant in a mall. That's the way they expanded originally, and they would not expand to freestanding buildings. And finally, when they did, they knew that they had to get the training down. They said the most important thing is the customer experience, the guest experience. So we have to have the training down to a T. It has to be perfect. It has to emulate everything that we stand for. So how do we do this? So what they did was they hired the trainers, the people that were in charge of training Ritz-Carlton employees, not the managers that were training them, not the older staff that was training the newer staff, the higher ups that came up with the training in the first place, that designed the training. They hired those people from Ritz-Carlton and put them in charge of the training program for Chick-Fil-A as they went to freestanding stores. So that's why you have such exceptional customer service when you go to Chick-Fil-A. That's a business taking their customer service seriously into the next level. Once they did that, I mean, that's why when you go to Chick-Fil-A now, they don't say you're welcome, they say my pleasure.
And sweet tea. My pleasure. And there's your...
Just little things like that, little touches like that go a long way. It's not just one big leap, not one big thing that makes customer service great. When you go to a restaurant, it wasn't like, oh, the server brought me refills every time, so that makes it all of a sudden a good experience and it was a good service. It's little things that happen over a period of time throughout the whole experience that just wow you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Until you get to the point where you're like, you're blown away. This was just an amazing experience. The next thing they did to keep their culture super strong was their franchising qualifications. So almost all fast food restaurants that franchise basically set it up so only rich people can become franchisees. So McDonald's, for example, you have to have $45,000 to put down on the restaurant, and you have to have $500,000 of net worth. For Popeyes, the competitor, you have to have $400,000 to put down, and you have to have $1 million in net worth, and you have to have $500,000 that you could liquidate. That's a rich person. What Chick-fil-A does is one thing. You have to have $10,000 to put down. What your net worth is, doesn't matter. They don't care. And you don't get to own the franchise outright. You're more of like a manager who oversees it that gets profits, and you're going to make a lot of money. The reason they do that is they don't want anybody running their franchise. They don't want someone that's trying just to get passive income to buy 10 Chick-fil-A's, have random people run it, have random managers run it while they go out on vacations and do whatever they want. They want someone whose heart is in the restaurant to invoke the best customer experience just like they want and just like they do. Again, sticking to their standards. They're taking the customer experience and their values before the money. That's what real culture is developed behind. And I think they get about 60,000 applications a year. Then they have quizzes, they have tests, they have you write essays, they do all this stuff to vet you to make sure that you're seriously going to manage this place with the same love. And a lot of times they try and take employees that are already working for the company, managers that have been working there for a long time, and give them the opportunity to put the $10,000 down and start making some serious profit and some serious money. So these are the little things that make their culture exceptional. So when you go in there, it's just so much better. And you know when you go to a Chick-fil-A, what sauces they have, what they're gonna have on their menu, what you like, what you get. You know, I mean, even the Chick-fil-A by my house is always packed. Always. There's like an app that you can order ahead, all these different options to get you in and out of the restaurant. Even when you do go through the drive-thru moves so fast, so everything's just streamlined and efficient because there's people that care behind it, and they're constantly trying to solve problems. And that's another benefit of only having 14 items on your menu for decades and decades and decades. You become masters of 14 items, just like In-N-Out. You only have a certain amount of things on your menu. You don't go with trends. You don't try and put something on your menu to bump up sales. You have the same things. It's just taking their job serious and perfecting what they are, but really standing behind what they do. And I don't know if you know this, but Chick-fil-A, Truett Cathy, the owner of Chick-fil-A, claims, and I haven't seen anything that goes against this on the internet, that he actually invented the chicken sandwich. The way he came up with it was he wanted someone to be able to eat the chicken fast, put it between two pieces of bread, so that way your fingers wouldn't get greasy. And so that's their claim to fame, is that they actually invented the chicken sandwich. Another thing that contribute to their success is their simplicity of their actual items. Like their chicken sandwich is, I think it's 3 things. It's bread and the chicken. Whopper has 9 or 8. So having that simplicity, again, makes it more efficient to make, makes it more consistent. It's just strategies like that that keep Chick-fil-A profiting year after year. So that's what you have to think about when you're a restaurant owner. That's what you have to take serious. Create your values, have values, and stick by them no matter what. Always stick by your values. Don't take the money before the values. Take your time and treat your employees with respect. Obviously, you have to manage your employees, and that's why it's important to have systems where you set up rules, and the rules have to be taken serious, but you also have to balance it. Just a perfect yin and yang of like forcing rules, but also treating your employees with respect so they're happy. Obviously, you're not going to make everyone happy all the time, but you know, you have to have a good balance of it. And then the guest experience. That's part of the culture. Making sure the guest has the best guest experience. And again, there's a million ways that you can go about doing that, but it's all about setting up the values, setting up the systems, and then just sticking with it and working towards it and being relentless with enforcing your values and enforcing your culture. And that's all I got. Thanks.